Hi, welcome to the second part of tonight's edition where John, Dave and myself are going to look forward to all fixtures this weekend, especially the Leinster-Munster match from the Aviva Stadium.
Well, I think the best way to start is to start with a tweet we received from Dara, and he asks, the Leinster v Munster rivalry, is it what it once was? What can be done to get the excitement back? It's almost like a letter, dear Marjorie, my marriage isn't what it once was. The bedroom stuff is very boring. What can be done to get the excitement back?
I think we'll answer the first one, the actual question. We'll leave you to worry about the rest.
To deal with the second one.
I think it's about
French tickers.
I think it's about to kick off again. Jesus, Dave. I think you're back in the 70s there. I think it's about to kick off again because both teams are in good form. It's I don't know about ticket sales. I don't think they're flying out the door.
It's hard to know.
Mediocre.
They seem to be moving along the same way as they always move along. You'll know when we're in the stadium.
Yeah, but the fixture itself seems like it's going to be a fiery affair. Both teams are coming into form, as I said, and it's going to be.
But it did lose some of its mojo, didn't it?
Absolutely, it did.
Oh, is that because Leinster dominated it for they probably won? Say 8 out of 10, maybe. But it was probably 8 out of 10.
I think you had two teams who were used to that fixture being one of the dominant fixtures in Europe. That the winner of that match would probably win, or certainly come close to winning the Pro 12 or the Celtic League. That the result in that match would send reverberations throughout the rest of Europe. And then it stopped because both teams fell off a cliff in terms of they just weren't very good anymore. Mm-hmm. Munster fell further than Leinster, perhaps. So Leinster got a stroke of wins. But now the two teams... So there wasn't really the game wasn't as important.
But
now it seems to be important again. I disagree with
you saying that Leinster fell off. Leinster won the European Cup.
Fell off a cliff, no, you're right. Fell off a cliff was probably the wrong phrase to use. Sorry. Both teams went into a trough in terms of... They went into a rebuilding phase. Leinster weren't as competitive at the highest level as they previously were. But both teams are back from that rebuilding phase now, or appear to be. Yeah. And that's why there's an added edge to the game that wasn't there maybe for, we'll say, 4 years. So you don't agree with me, do you?
Well, no, I was just going to say that back in 2012 we won the European Cup. 13 we won the league and won the Amlin as well. Yeah. The following year, 14 we won the league. 15 we got to the semi-final of the European Cup.
Dreadful level of success.
Last season we got to the final of the Pro 12.
And got hockeyed in Europe.
We did, yes we did.
In the previous season we got hockeyed in the Pro 12 and came 5th for the first time in 12 years.
Yeah, so we had a blip in the league and we got to the semi-final and beaten by the eventual winners whose club side could possibly beat most international sides.
Most Leinster fans were willing to stab themselves in the eye with a pencil rather than look at the rugby we were playing.
The team played pretty shite rugby for the entire season, except in a bit of a cup run.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, and Munster fell further for longer, but they didn't have the resources we have in terms of players coming through, and there's a lot of things they didn't have. Like they had a real coming together of a lot of factors that gave them 2 Heineken Cups. And it's not as likely to be replicated as, they don't have the quality coming through that Leinster have coming out of the production line every year. There
was a lot of bad planning. There was a lot of bad future-proofing.
The population, they don't have lots of things. There
was a lot of bad future-proofing in Munster, which has been, I think, rectified now, so that if Munster reach the top and then, if you like, start to dip again, the trough will be a lot narrower than it was, or shallower than it was last time. I think they have corrected those issues. It's just It's just after to a certain extent, the horse has kind of left. But those have been rectified. But we've got a situation now where both teams seem to be heading back upwards again, or certainly are given the impression at this point of the season, admittedly very early on in the season, that they're on an upward trend
trajectory
again.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. But what would you think on? We're one place we could start with selection is the back three, because we've got about literally 4 choices.
Well, we do have a question.
In the back three.
We do have a question in from Michael Keogh, and he wants to know: are 23 blue men for the match? I presume he's not talking about that Vegas entertainment thing with lads. And Tobias Funke tries to get in and fails. The words only analyst and therapist makes him an anal rapist. You don't watch Arrested Development?
No.
No. And John Malloy also asked what's our starting back row for this week in Europe, so we're going to go into it?
Yeah, well, I just had a feeling that Henshaw was going to be number 23, and when people were saying last weekend that we should be deploying a 6-2 on the bench and lashing them out of it with a bunch of flankers, I was
We could do that though.
well, yeah, we might still, but I was just thinking, how do you put Henshaw on the bench because you're going to need a scrum half and an out half, and he covers neither, so you can't really do a 6-2 unless Mr. Henshaw actually starts the game, and then you could have someone like Carberry and one of the scrum halves on the bench. It does require
Carberry not a scrum half.
Carberry's in everything.
He started out as a scrum half, all right, but it's been a long time ago. But
I doubt they're going to play
was
him in a big
5.
game like that.
Yeah, no, it is a valid point to be made. He did start out at the tie as a scrum half.
But it's interesting what happens if you start thinking about Henshaw starting at, say, at 12. What does that, you could,
Why 12?
or at 13,
Because
you could have, Reed and Ringrose have made a fairly decent pairing in the, and
Would you
Munster.
see O'Loughlin perhaps in there?
starting.
Maybe.
Well, you see, I think
If you kind of said, just give us 45, 50 minutes and bring on Henshaw for the last 30.
in terms of who we have.
Then you've now 6-2.
So in terms of who we have available in terms of the back three, right? We have
Yeah.
Issa.
Yeah.
We have
Zane
Zane,
Kirshner.
and we have.
Ringrose.
Well, we also have Barry Daly, and we have Adam Byrne. So we've young guys. So in terms of experienced quality players, Ringrose.
Are you going to throw those lads in front of 40,000 people?
That's the point I made. That's the question I'd ask, and I would say that the best option is to use Ringrose, because that's dependent on if we have Henshaw available.
Yeah.
If we have
And if he
Henshaw
can start.
available and he can start, then put Ringrose on
If
the wing.
Henshaw can come off the bench, surely he can start.
I'd say.
That's the old Johnny Jaws one. If you're fit enough for the bench, you're fit enough for the pitch.
Would you think so, would you?
Yeah.
I'd say if Henshaw starts, Joe Schmidt will be sitting in the stand chewing a phone book for the whole entire 80 minutes, because I'd say that the plan would be, if they were to do that with Henshaw, would be to bring Ringrose in at some point and bring in another off the bench, maybe even bring in Joey Carberry if there are no other injuries and Sexton plays 80.
I would not be surprised if Joe was perfectly happy for Ringrose to play on the wing.
Oh yeah, no, but he might not be happy for Henshaw to play 80.
Yeah, well, you see, no, that's about a point. So, I mean, I'd say if Leinster were to want a 6-2 split, it's dependent on Henshaw being available to start.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's also dependent on somebody like Carberry ending up on the wing with
he's played on the wing
Ringrose
before.
moving it. No, I know he has, but you're really taking a gamble on having no injuries in the back line.
You're moving around an awful lot of
And
pieces.
you're moving.
You are.
a few
I mean,
people. So-
it is tricky, but the thing is that you have to look at where are Leinster strong. Leinster are strong in the front row and they're strong in the back row.
yeah.
So that's kind of 5-year subs to a certain extent, because Jamie Heath is going to be okay for 80. I mean, that's just how it goes. Unless he gets some freak injury, he's going to be okay for 80. So if you can change,
He's due another one. He hasn't had one in about 5 years.
if you can change your entire front row and your two flankers, if you need to, then you can really take the tempo up and it can change things. So that's that's 5 guys, and then you have a lock or whatever, a utility guy, at your 6th. So to a certain extent, a lot of what we do, a lot of our selection would be determined not in UCD, it'll be determined in Anson Road in terms of who is available, how much we have them available for. Then if we do have them, then what can we do with the other guys and move, if you like, the pieces around.
Well, also don't forget there was an Irish camp this week, so we lost something like 19 or 20 players, and Munster lost 10. So that's.
It's only for a day now.
I know it's only for a day, but it's,
I think it was basically a video session.
And it was their down day.
Yeah.
well, okay. Let them off with it. So
But no. In terms of the selection for the game, I mean, it's a huge game and it's a huge selection. I mean, when we were talking about using Barry Daly and Adam Byrne, I mean, would you expose them in front of 45,000 people?
It's a big call to make, isn't it?
And the same question has to be asked about Rory O'Loughlin, because he's got about as much experience as they have, or even less in the case of Adam Byrne. So, you do leave yourself open to, when you play callow guys like that. But on the other hand, do we have any choice?
that's where all our gambles are, though,
Yeah.
in the back line.
Yeah.
That's where all our gambles are going to be, because in the front, whether we play 6 forwards on the bench or whether we play 5 forwards on the bench. It's still the back row or the back line where we're going to be taking any risks that we do take. So, interesting question that John Malloy posed. What's your starting back row? Well, we're presuming that there's going to be no Sean O'Brien this week, which seems to be the mood music.
Everyone else
from the camp
seems to be bulling for action.
So you've still got Levy, Van der Fleer, Jordy Murphy, Jamie Heaslip, Rhys Ruddock. You know, that's 5 guys that are in prime condition and ready to go. Now, you can actually fit all of them in if you do what we said with the 6-2 split, or you can leave. You can have 4 of them and leave out one. If you leave out one, who would you leave out, boys?
There you go.
I don't know. I think it might be Jordy Murphy if I was leaving one out. But
Possibly.
then again, he was rested last weekend,
and
so
he covers 6, 7, and 8.
He does. Yeah, that's his big part.
He is in form. He's been playing well.
Carrying well.
He's been playing really, really well. You know, he's a form guy. I think that I think that if we were to lose one, it's not the guy. I wouldn't like to make that decision.
No.
But I think
And I wouldn't like to have to tell any of them about it if I was.
I think the decision might be made to leave Rhys out.
Really?
Yeah.
I think he's in stonking form as well.
Oh no, I think he is, but I think the decision might be if we're going to go with a specialist lock on the bench, then Rhys is the guy who'll fall out of things.
Interesting theory. So moving
It is
slightly,
just that. It is just a theory.
moving slightly forward, who are going to be our 3 locks if we're going to have 3 locks, and we're not going to depend on someone like Rhys Ruddock to cover in an emergency.
Mickey McDev and Mick Kearney. I would suggest.
You wouldn't play Nagel?
Yeah, that's another interesting call. Like, you know, even in the second row, we've got headaches.
Dev is a guy who's an 80-minute guy in terms of fitness and stuff like that. I mean, if
Yeah.
you've been watching him recently, I mean, last, we say 12 months.
He pretty much plays the full age,
does.
doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, yeah. He's
full
an
age.
80-minute guy, like.
So you can afford to have 2 tight head locks, like
that's-
you're saying, Mick Kearney and Mick McCarthy. So, yeah, that's an interesting one because, you know, both of those, or whichever one of those starts, can come on and, you know, empty themselves in 60 minutes or even 50 minutes, and the other one could come on, you know, after a week of people singing off key to him and throwing him raw meat and all that, teasing him. So, you know, ready to go off the bench. That could be an interesting.
Is Mickey Mac a starter these days?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean,
Does he have the engine still?
He doesn't have the engine for 80.
No.
I think he has an hour in him.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, that was always his big thing, was his
Yeah.
engine.
Yeah.
He can go and go and go.
Yeah.
Okay, he's knocking on a little bit now. He's
35 or 60.
he must be almost 10 years younger than you lads. So, you know, that's old.
That's very old.
So the front row obviously doesn't really need a huge amount of discussion. It's pretty.
There's some tasty matchups
Well,
between some of the players.
The front row, I think,
Hookers,
does need.
maybe.
I think
Hookers.
the front row does need discussion because it depends on what you want to do with it. Now, the big question is.
I don't mean it what way you do it, what way around you do it, but it doesn't need discussion in terms of what 6 players
Oh God, no.
are going to go in there.
Well, maybe.
Well,
Is
are you
Strauss
gonna-
fit?
Don't think so. No.
Well, then there's no discussion.
Are you gonna start Healy or McGrath?
Yes, I'm going to start Healy or McGrath, one of them. Yeah, definitely. I don't see any point in arguing about that. No, I agree with you. We're definitely going to start Healy or McGrath.
I don't know. Jack McGrath seems to be the conventional wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
Get him on, you get a bit more out of him in terms of minutes.
Keane seems to play more games.
But-
Seems to have more game
Healy
time.
loves venison. You could see it. You think back over his last 10 years, or since he's come into the Leinster team. Is it 10 years? Not even 10 years. Think
No.
back.
He only
over-
started in 09, really.
yeah.
You know.
Think back over his last 7 years.
Mm.
Right. He's always played really well against Munster, and always really enjoyed playing against Munster, and always done well against Munster. So he loves that. He's a guy who's made for that fix. He's a big game guy. On the
Yes.
other hand, Jack McGrath is probably the best loose head in Europe at the moment in terms of form.
He's up there.
So you got these 2 guys. You know, it doesn't matter. And those. Now,
When we won our European Cups, we had 6 great front row
yeah,
players,
and now we do again.
and we interchanged them. And no, it didn't really matter what game because they played. First set of 3 played 60 minutes. They all came off. The next 2 came and played the last 20 plus the next 60,
Yeah.
and vice versa. So
Played 80 minutes every 2 matches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think we can afford to mix and match. You know, Mike Ross, again, he's, 37 in a few weeks. He's 36, sorry, in a few weeks. He's still in good form, and he seems to be reasonably fit too, you know.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So you can, and he's. We said this last week. He's kind of starting a career as a finisher now a little bit, whereas he was always the guy that went on first. Now he can be the guy that goes on second, you know, and holds things down. We went into it in more detail last week, so I presume we're going to have Tracy over Byrne, are we?
Yeah, I think so.
We've no Strauss.
Yeah.
And does that mean Cronin starts?
Cronin starts for me.
Yeah, I think that's the way around I go.
Because you're bringing on a lot of explosiveness in the front row with Healy and Furlong anyway. So having Cronin, you don't need Cronin to come on and add that kind of thing. It's already there, you know. And Tracy's a pretty explosive kind of guy as well.
Yeah,
so
he sure is. He's a powerful guy.
Mm-hmm.
So just to rest back into the back row a little bit then, because we kind of discussed who we might leave out, but we didn't know what order we were going to deploy them in or what.
You see, that's the difficult. I mean, do you? I mean,
What a
because
headache.
the one area where
Jamie for 80
it's an
minutes
area
at
where
number
Munster
8.
will fancy themselves as well. We haven't really
That's
discussed
about it.
Munster.
Well, Munster are going to
We will.
have O'Mahony back.
Yeah, they have standard.
Standard.
Yeah.
Like they potentially got the 2 of the 3 back row players for
So
Ireland.
that could be. There's certainly one of them is going to be number 6 for Ireland. I don't think there's any question of that.
Mhm.
Certainly, it's a matter of which one. I don't know what's going to happen to the other one, but one of them will start at number 6. So you've got them. The question is, do Leinster go orthodox? You know, maybe Ruddock, Heaslip, and one of the 2 lads, one of Leamy and Van der Fleur, or did you just say?
Please don't call Leamy.
What did I call him?
Leamy.
I didn't. I said Levy. I'm certain I did.
Okay, you can look back at the tape.
And if I didn't, I'll edit it anyway.
Good man.
But so you go with an orthodox kind of, if you like, 6, 7, and 8, or do we do what we've done in the last couple of games, which has been very beneficial to us, and Dan Levy has really shown the ability to do that, and let's play with both of them.
Yeah.
At 6 and 7, play with the
Have
twin
Reece on the bench.
and have Reece. I don't know. I mean,
And where does Jordy Murphy fit in?
where does Jordy Murphy fit in? You see, that's the thing. I would be inclined to go with the 2 guys. They got us here. They got us this far. The reason we're playing the way we're playing and playing so well, and
Levy and Josh.
is because they got us here. So go with them.
And then maybe have both of the lads on the bench and take a risk on the backs, because you're going to have to take a risk on the backs anyway. A lot of risks. So, you know, that leads us nicely onto, I suppose, the only other thing we can discuss is which scrum half. I think you had a good theory on that one. I heard.
Well, it's more like, it's basically Conor Murray is the best scrum half in Northern Hemisphere, right? I don't think there's anybody that's arguing with that. No matter how, I mean, Luke McGrath is a very good guy and he'll give all his best. But do you think Luke McGrath is going to be as good as Conor Murray in any way, shape, or form? I don't think so. In fact, I'd be certain to say that Luke McGrath isn't going to be as good as Conor Murray. And that's not slight on Luke McGrath. We're talking about a player at the very highest level of the game. We don't know that Gibson Pryke. Oh God! Because of you and your email this morning, or Vincent Price. Because of Gibson Park, we don't know what he's going to be like. So go with him. You know, he might be able to put something into Conor Murray because of uncertainty. They won't have enough They won't have enough analysis done on him. They won't know as much about him. So go with him, because we know that Luke McGrath is certainly going to be better than Duncan Williams. So that we get that advantage anyway.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting and very good theory, Dave.
We've always been successful against Munster. How we've always been successful against Munster is attacking them where they think they're strongest. Munster think they're strongest at 9, 6, and 8. I don't think anyone would argue with that. You attack them there, and if you get the edge there, or even if you get parity there.
Yeah, well, we don't have the fearsome backline. That
Is Zebo back for them?
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Not sure.
Because he got injured earlier on in the season. I think he's out for 4 weeks, but I'm not sure if he's back in time.
Well, like they've developed a fairly decent front row now, and they've got options at lock with that guy Klein, who I'm very impressed with. Their new lock signing.
Which one you have to know? They've signed so many players in the last while.
Yeah.
So another
Klein,
3 today.
Yeah,
Klein, the South African, he's a big 6'8".
Scored there in his debut.
Yeah, I know.
Bill Tongue eater. And he's like, with him and guys like Stander, there's no backward steps being taken by guys like that. They've also developed a bit of a front row with your man John Ryan coming on very well. I mean, he looked dreadful a few years ago, and they weren't sure, was he a loose head, was he a tight head, and I think he was played a little bit out of position sometimes at tight head and got eaten, but now he's a bloody good tight
Got
head.
man the match against Dragons.
Yeah, he's a great player. I like to look at him. They've got hooker troubles, of course.
They signed one, didn't they? They signed
like Tiger
Safford.
Woods.
Signed a Safford for 3 weeks, for 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. Another project player.
Yeah, that's an
toy.
interesting.
And they signed a new prop as well.
Marshall is the hooker they've signed.
And then
The toy
so
is
it's
the
a prop,
Yeah.
a short-term contract.
So I don't know why neither of them are going to be here this week. Obviously, they're a few.
Is the
weeks
toy
off.
not the? No, the toy is the short term. Yes, yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Sorry.
Yeah. So they've always had plenty of hookers. They've always had a production line of hookers down there,
It's
but
funny
a lot
that
of them
they,
injured.
that they were
Sherry's
refused
injured.
to sign the Australian captain
Yeah.
this time last year.
Mm.
Like, just doesn't make sense. Then they go off, and maybe because
Yeah, but
it's a project player, is it?
exactly. Think about it from.
And I think they've had two guys kind of fall out of things with fairly long term injuries and,
Yeah.
and things like that in the interim. I mean, the reasoning, one assumes the reasoning behind was to let guys like Duncan Casey come through, and then those guys get injured or whatever. So
Think about it though from Nusafora's point of view.
he gets to
don't-
school Leinster.
You don't want to have somebody coming in with Ruan Pienaar there. You don't want to have somebody coming in as a foreign scrum half. So you get a project player, Gibson Park, who can
Well, that's
possibly play for. And the same with that guy, the hooker. Even Klein, the second row, is a
Is he?
isn't he?
Not so sure that he
Not
is.
qualified.
I'm
He's
sure.
definitely on a 3-year deal.
I don't know. I don't know if he's. I don't know.
I think he
was
may be a possible times.
unqualifiable.
I think he may be a possible time server. We'll check that out for next week. So they've got a lot of options. They're starting to get a bit of beef back into that pack, and that's when Munster are worrying. That side of the from tight head back now, they're starting to look, and they've got James
If they
Cronin
sign
looking in
any
good
more South
form.
Africans, they'll have to
They've
have
got
a branch of Mr. Price down there. Go on.
They've got the killer. They've got what's his name looking pretty good, James Cronin when I've seen him. So yeah, you always say every year. In fact, nearly everybody always says every year this kind of fixture form goes out the window. Everything goes out the window. International caps go out the window. It's back to basics. It's the two
But you
teams.
see, the international caps don't go out the window because you can never beat your experience. And if like we were talking about the Leinster selection, and if you go down the route of picking a bunch of fellas who've played a handful of caps for Leinster, that's a huge question mark over that selection when you've got Irish internationals against them in opposite positions. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like even say in the back row, Levy he's a relatively inexperienced guy. He's coming up against CJ Sander and Peter O'Mahony. Do you know what I mean?
I wonder how Munster are going to set out their back row. Actually, it's going to be interesting. Are they going to play standard at 8?
They're going to play standard at 8, yeah.
I don't
for
think
sure.
that's the brace. I don't think that's
Like
the
the-
bravest idea.
Like there's the thing, if just say if you play Murphy, like Murphy played in the quarter final of the World Cup
Mhm.
12 months ago.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like he's got experience in big games like this.
That's true. You could see him ahead of Levy. So Levy could.
I'm
be
just
losing.
saying, like I think Levy is a far better prospect, but
Yeah.
the game has been played on Saturday.
Aren't they all great headaches
Oh,
to have?
fantastic!
But see, that's the thing. I mean, at some point, if a player's a real player, he's going to get his opportunity in a game like this, and he's going to take it.
Mhm.
I mean, it happens to.
He'd be the man I'd back to take it.
When it happens, they all do it. So it'll be interesting to see. All the guys who want to be great players have all taken an opportunity in the game.
Yeah, but it's
How
not.
they make.
They don't really make their debut in it, and these
Oh,
guys
no,
are.
no. Well, he's not making a debut, Levy. I mean, in fairness.
No, he isn't. But there's some other guys that we're talking about.
Oh
who,
yeah.
have 4 Leinster caps.
Well, that's why I'm hoping to minimise that. That's
when
kind
you're
of what I'm
missing,
talking about.
when you're missing 2 Carneys on a McFadden.
Exactly, and it's not like go back to the days when, say, the McFaddens and the Carneys were making their debut. They had Dricko and Darcy not too
Craigie
far
and-
from them.
Well, that's what we're kind of trying to hope to do is actually minimise those issues where you've got a guy with say the guys with the low cap levels are still guys with experience elsewhere. Like for example, talking about Gibson Park, but he's got experience elsewhere. Talking about Rob Henshaw, he's got experience elsewhere. And then you've got instead of putting a guy like Daly or Byrne on the wing, you're talking about putting Ringrose in.
Yep.
So you're keeping. I mean, Noel Reid is nearly 100 caps at this stage, or close to it. So you're talking about having experienced guys everywhere. You're talking about having a Springbok fullback somewhere in the back three. You're talking about having the best foreign player to probably ever play in Ireland somewhere in the back three. And so you're keeping your, like you say exactly, you're keeping guys, experienced guys in there rather than exposing young guys. But you can still put in if you've got a lot of experienced guys. If you've got Devin Tony,
Exactly,
if you've got
but
Jamie
you don't
Heaton.
want 5.
Oh no. I'm not a great believer in just throwing youth in the situation. Unless they're exceptional, it doesn't always work. It doesn't work. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. You might get lucky once.
That's why I'm looking forward to seeing if Sweetman plays. Presumably will play, but see what he's like in a game like this. You know, like he's.
I think he might play all right.
I think Sweetman might play.
Him as well.
Sweetman.
They're almost identical names, Dave. Come on. So yeah, I think they're going to deploy O'Mahony from the bench as well. Is what
I have a sense of that. I have a sense that that's what they're going about.
They're going to have, and you've got Dave O'Callaghan is injured, so you're going to start somebody like, I don't know who they're going to start. They're hardly going to wheel out your
It's
man
interesting,
after his L caps now, are they?
Keith Wood was on the radio this evening, and he seemed to be hinting that it was possibly a bit soon to be risking O'Mahony.
Well, he last week.
Well, he kind of was saying, are they rushing them back to get him back?
Well, he is out a year.
I know.
For a long time.
That's what he's saying.
I'd say that even the Irish team want to see him up to speed before.
That was his point. He said, why are we rushing him back?
To get him up to speed for the autumn internationals.
When he's not possibly ready.
Well, we'll see that after.
Yeah, they're going to have to see if he's ready at some stage, you know.
Like, let's not forget Munster. Like, we've got Cast first up in the RDS. They've got Racing first up. Like, it doesn't get much tougher than that. Not only have they got Racing, but they've got Racing coached by one of the guys who knows the most about Munster on the whole bloody planet. So that's got to be some tough ask for them. I don't even know if it's at home or away. The following week, are they in?
I don't know. It is a valid point actually. They have to hit the ground running. They don't have. This is their last chance to get him up to speed. It really is, because they will need. I mean, if they don't have him against Racing, what's their back row going to be? Stander, Copeland.
Scored a great try at the weekend.
Scored a great try at the weekend, and who else on the open side? What's his name? He's back, isn't he?
Jack O'Donoghue, is it?
No, O'Donnell.
Oh, Tommy O'Donnell's back.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you got 2 peaks, and Copeland, in terms of his recent form for Munster, is a bit of a trough there.
Yeah.
So they need O'Mahony back.
Yeah, O'Mahony, Stander and O'Donnell is a pretty fearsome back row.
It is,
That's what starts against us. I wouldn't be getting too cocky.
No, I wouldn't be cocky against it.
Yeah.
But I think there are opportunities there to take advantage. I mean, there are weaknesses in it that we can take advantage of, just as there may be weaknesses in ours that they could take advantage of. For example, if we do play the 2 open sides, it will mean that we do have a fairly loose thing. Now, Levy has actually shown himself to be excellently disciplined in terms of how he plays, but he's not a blindside, not an experienced blindside. Certainly not at the level of, say, Peter O'Mahony. So there's opportunities there, and there's advantages there for both sides.
We shall see.
You don't think?
Of course, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's going to be an absolutely riveting game. I'm really looking forward to it. It's the most I've looked forward to this fixture. In fact, I wouldn't say I've dreaded it, but I've been kind of lukewarm about it a couple of the last few years. I mean, the time we got blown away, and what was it, 14? When they just ran riot against us in Lansdowne Road. I think it might be the only time they've beaten us in Lansdowne Road. That was frightening. You know, that was not a game I was looking forward to, and it certainly wasn't a game I was enjoying looking back on. And subsequently, it's dwindled. The fixture has dwindled, and I can feel a bit of fire coming back into it this year. You know, maybe
The fixture that I don't like is the Christmas one. I far prefer the European match in the Aviva.
All right.
Yeah.
Like I think the atmosphere at the Munster one is actually pretty good compared to the one at Christmas.
Yeah, but you're not like the old Blue Santa coming down in a strip line.
The last few times we've had French, and they don't bring a huge amount of supporters with them. Obviously, the ones that do come over, there's no language, no common language. So the atmosphere, the buzz of the 2 sets of supporters isn't really there. And where at least the Munster one, there's a bit of banter with them, and you meet them, and you meet all lads that you knew, or you meet them every couple of years.
The atmosphere against Northampton was good, but to a certain extent.
And maybe again.
That's the only time that there's actually been a genuine match. Against one against Claremont one of the times, against Bath one of the times. Leinster were so far better than the opposition. Then against Claremont the other time, against Toulon that time, we were certainly not better than, so there was a real downer in the thing. But the time against Northampton, there was two teams really going for it, and the atmosphere was good. It's all people say is it about the stadium. It's not. It's not even about the fans. It's about what happens on the pitch, because that leads everyone on. People say is the atmosphere in the Aviva that good? For games and for good games, the atmosphere has always been good. For bad games, the atmosphere is bad. But that's the same as almost every stadium in the world.
Yeah, but at the Christmas one, people stand up and say, "Oh, sorry, I'm heading off to my Christmas party."
The Christmas
now.
one is a slightly different one. The Christmas one has become part of the Dublin Christmas entertainment calendar.
Hit that and get meet it.
Yeah.
Leave with 20 minutes to go. Meet the lads for a few pints, and then
that's it. Well, or even buy a bunch of tickets because they're offered as a kind of a mass thing. Buy a bunch of tickets, go to the game, but have a pint in and out. Always having pints. Not really watching the game. The game itself is part of the Christmas entertainment thing, and that's. I was having a discussion with somebody online today, and it was certainly looked at swapping the Ulster game in there for if you had a situation where you had a team like Bath or somebody who wouldn't be a big draw, maybe switching. But the Ulster game, the numbers just weren't there for it.
I was
at. Because I remember I did some artwork for it.
The year that we played Claremont away in the semi-final, the Ulster match, Ulster played Edinburgh in the final in the semi-final in the Aviva, and I actually went to that match and semi-final now, right?
Yeah, European
in the Aviva Stadium, there was probably less than 35,000 at it. Now you're talking about, okay, admittedly Edinburgh didn't bring a huge number of fans, but this was Ulster's first time in a European semi-final for a considerable amount of time, and they couldn't bring 30,000 people down the motorway.
Yeah, there was a lot of neutrals at that. I think a lot of us at that.
Yeah, I was at that game. No, I wasn't at that game. I was in the pub actually.
What I think happened is, we won. We just won the whole battle. They won the first battle in 06. We won in 09, and then we subsequently won practically all the rest, man. And the contest went out of it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have two teams going toe to toe, each game, if you look at the state of origin, you can't predict from one game to the next. Is it going to be Queensland this week or New South Wales the following week? You just don't know. No team has ever really dominated.
In fairness.
Yeah,
but
Queensland have a massive dominance.
But not all the time, Dave. A contest is made up of two equal teams. And for a long time, particularly in the last 5 or 7 years, there's been only one team in it. Munster have had their day, the odd time, but not frequently enough.
Yeah, but the great thing about
let's hope they don't start it.
And again, to be positive about it, the thing about that is it has really gotten the backs up. So there is still that sharpness there between the two teams. I mean, we're talking about, I agree with you, that the rivalry, the sharpness of the rivalry has diminished somewhat over the last 4 or 5 years. But at the same time, what's the worst attendance for one of these games? 45,000 or something, or 42,000?
Well, depends who you want to
believe
believe your eyes or believe the official.
Well, you have to
if
you take the same number consistently over this period of time, then.
Well, you can clearly see if a stadium has 45,000 in it or less than 40.
Oh yeah. But what I'm saying is, just for the sake of consistency, if you take the same number over
I would say
period of time,
if you average it out, it's probably 40 to 45,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And that's
still a pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm making. That even taking everything you've said into account and has been accurate, right? That even we say somewhere between 40 odd thousand, if you say, for want of a better phrase, to get that to turn up to a rugby match at Interbro in Ireland, that's good going.
No, it is, but don't forget, you go back to, say, the 06 match, those tickets, we got 6 tickets, if you remember, at the time. Most of them were taken up by clubs and sold on to third parties. But those tickets were the hottest tickets. Those tickets were exchanging hands for more than the All-Ireland tickets at the time. So they were the hottest ticket in town. You fast forward 10 years later, they're I bought 2 tickets for my daughter and my wife for $10 each.
There was a period of time, we say, but like you were saying, between season 05-06 and we say season 10-11, maybe even 9-10, it mightn't have lasted even that long, where the Munster-Leinster ticket was gold dust in Limerick and it was gold dust in Dublin. And then it stopped being gold dust, it became silver dust. And now you can get them. But
it was as though
I think sorry,
We hit
the
so
demand
many-
has followed, if you like, the success graph of the teams. The demand graph has followed the success graph to a certain extent.
Yeah, I can't put but I mean, say, put it this way, I think the Munster fan base has also declined.
Oh yeah.
Like,
You see that
you know,
in the
you can
stadium.
see that in the stadium up to, I don't know,
Yeah, no,
you
that's
know,
certainly true. Yeah,
like, they rarely open the two terraces behind the goal these days. Like, and that's only a recent thing. I can remember even going down to the Munster match. I remember going to the Munster match 5 seasons ago, and it was jam-packed.
yeah.
I mean, I remember
Wedged.
standing on the terrace where the big screen is, and I could hardly move.
Yeah.
And I remember going down 3 seasons ago and been in the stand and clearly seeing the gaps on the terrace looking down from the stand.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, there has been that severe decline in the numbers attending in Munster and people willing to make the trek up from Limerick. You know, our crowd has remained relatively the same in the last.
Mm.
It's probably declined slightly, but not
Yes, it's
enormously.
declined a bit, but
We-
we also don't have a 26,000 seater stadium to fill.
No.
Yeah, we had a slight advantage that Munster, to a certain extent, in that our crowd, our, if you like, core numbers were built in adversity, so they're more likely to stay when things aren't going quite so well.
Yeah.
Whereas Munster's core number was perhaps exaggerated by success.
I went from 0 to, like, the same season. They went from having a few hundred watching the Leinster match in Duradoyle to playing against.
We're right back at the very beginning.
Yeah, right at the back at the beginning when they played
Saracens.
no, the final.
Northampton.
Northampton
Yeah,
in Twickenham, and there was 65,000 at the final in Twickenham.
Yeah.
And you know, earlier that season there was a few hundred at an Interpro against Leinster.
Perhaps
So they
Munster
went from 0
never-
to 100 very quickly.
Perhaps they never got, and this is kind of not their fault, and it's nothing that they could do about it. Maybe they never got a chance to organically build a support.
Mm.
I think that's definitely
They
the
did
case.
have
Yeah.
they did have guys following.
And it's not their fault. I mean, it just happened that way. It's not. It's
Like if you looked
it's not-
if you looked at the graph of say their season tickets compared to say the Leinster season tickets, Leinster season tickets gradually the slope was very gradual and upwards. You know, it might have started at
jumped hugely
might
when
have
we moved out of Donnybrook
it might have started at
from 3,000 to
1,000.
10,000.
Well, maybe it did, but
Did.
like I'm not sure if it went up that much. I'm not sure if it did.
there was definitely a period when we had
It doubled.
when we
at
had
least.
8,900 sold for one season. Anyway, but the point is, and it's very hard to compare season ticket sales because Munster have a very weird system of season tickets, and that's incomparable to anything Leinster do. All you can do is say that Leinster have, during a period of time when we didn't win a whole lot, and weren't the most popular team in the media, we still managed to go from 1,200 to 3,000 to 6,000 to 9,000 to 12,500, and it was built organically. It was built. Munster never had that opportunity, not through no fault of their own, because they got success earlier. So that kind of, if you like, that organic support never had. Now it is, I think there is opportunities there for them to build, and I think that they are working on it. It's a different story, and it's hard to know though. Well, we did have one question in, and it's from Leo the Line, who wants to know: has his pre-season regime clearly enhanced his matchday performance? And he gives us 2 options, which is nice of him: yes or absolutely, John.
Absolutely.
No.
And I'm going to go with: give me drum back, you bollocks.
Well, anyway, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thank you very much for watching. Cheers.